Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar, which is the fourth one in our series of webinars on patient experience. Today, we have with us two distinguished guests. I would introduce you to them. Person whom we have here is Ms. Archna Gupta. She has more than 25 years of experience in service excellence. After more than 16 years of driving quality function at Indian Hotel Company, where she oversaw quality function for about 21 hotels spread across 3 regions, she moved on to the healthcare sector. Since then, Ms. Gupta has led patient experience departments at respected brands like Manipal Hospitals and Fortis Healthcare. Presently, she's working as a group head patient experience at CK Birla Hospitals, and she's based out of Kolkata. Welcome, Ms. Gupta.
Thank you very much.
The next panelist we have is Ms. Archana Sangam. She has nearly 2 decades of experience in operations and customer service across industries such as banking, retail, and now healthcare. She's worked with brands like Bata, Religare, MetLife, and Kotak Mahindra. Currently, Ms. Sangam is head of customer experience and CRM at Motherhood Hospitals, and she's based out of Bangalore. Welcome, Ms. Sangam.
Thank you.
Moving on, as you all know, our focus for today's webinar is the rise of patient experience department in India. I would like to start off with Ms. Sangam, your views on what patient experience is all about.
With the current scenario, yes, patient experience is something which is very important and very the key focus in driving the healthcare business from the business perspective. And from the customer perspective, it's the defining parameter when they avail their healthcare services, right? So that department is definitely the back end and the the front end, the face, and the department which is holding the organization. Right? Obviously, the experience starts from the customer's thought of availing medical care, looking out for the brands, while different departments are involved there. But anything and everything that happens throughout the journey from exploring to experiencing it comes under the gamut of patient experience. That's my view.
Great. How about you, Ms. Gupta? What is your take on patient experience?
Yeah, it's almost similar. It's sum total of all the experience at every touch point for what the patient is coming to the hospital, than just consumption of the product or the services that he's come for. For example, if he's come for the outpatient consultation, so it is not just about start and finish doesn't start at meeting the doctor and finish doesn't finish it there. It starts from from his home, tries to book the appointment either by calling up or by searching on the website, to coming to the hospital premises, to including parking, how easy was it for him to park or his car, and get navigated to the OPD. All that is a part of patient experience. While he is waiting, what is his waiting experience? Everything.
Great, very nice. Now, Ms. Gupta, if you can throw some light on how patient experience as a department is shaping up in the current healthcare organization and in your organization as such, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I can. I've been in healthcare for last more than 8 years, and I can see that they have primarily been, inclined towards clinical outcomes or PNL reviews. But now that the fact that slowly I've seen all the organizations I worked with, including Manipal, including Fortis, and now CK Birla, this function was instituted. Was started from scratch every place I went through, and they are holding a lot of importance to the function, especially and this has been driven by the promoters themselves. Where currently my promoter only, they themselves worked on their as a pilot at the Gurgaon hospital and saw the big difference. Even though without a star doctor, the patients were still coming from far-flung areas. They have a firm belief on this function, and hence they instituted this function, the trust hospital, to change the way it's perceived.
Great. What about you, Ms. Sangam? How is it shaping up at Motherhood Hospitals, this particular department, and what are the roles and responsibilities they handle?
Yeah, so I mean, I have a very shorter experience in healthcare, but the way I have seen in the last 3.5, 4 years of my healthcare experience is the transition has been swift, drift, and very strong, right? So earlier it was front office, it was billing department, and now they are almost the custodian of anything and everything that the customer has to go through. So that's the drastic change and the way they have shaped up in terms of the patient experience department. Talking about roles and responsibilities, yes, as we started the conversation with, be it online, be it a remote interaction, which is through a call or an email, or the way we respond to the customers, starting from there, to the physical interactions, to the financial and financial counseling, right? Even to an extent of being able to clarify what is the clinical terminologies, right? So that's the level they have engrossed into. They also cover up the non-medical operations aspects of it, like Ms. Gupta was explaining, be it the security, be it the valet parking, be it the housekeeping at the IPD department, right? So this department has engrossed into every other sub-department, taking ownership there, and hence the responsibilities is of an overall hospital and overall experience management. They touch base every other department.
Great. Great. So, Ms. Gupta, coming back to you on some of the challenges you have faced in this particular department of patient experience, wherever you have instituted it, and how you've overcome those challenges.
The challenges, primarily when I entered the healthcare, that was way back in 2013. They all felt that I come from Taj. Both Taj mein hota hai, hotels mein hota hai. It doesn't happen in the hospitals. Before I started talking to them, I had done a Reiki of all the key hospitals in India itself and outside, and I took pictures of those hospitals like FMRI in Gurgaon and Max Saket and Mohali. I went all there, and I started showing pictures of the hospital, and then they started listening to me. So that's the first challenge, which I think anyone who comes from non-healthcare background faces. Mm-hmm. Second challenge is, it is a challenge because they have been tuned to only kind of manage patient complaints, not really work from the root cause and eliminate. And I think a bigger challenge is they believe that the patients are coming for their diagnostic, and if the doctor meets them, if the nurses take care, what else? Why would you bring out subjects like food and beverage? Why would you talk about housekeeping? That's not a core. So, bringing to the senior leadership level that even this is important from the patient's perspective and can be a decision maker in their mind to choose which hospital to go to. That was a challenge at the beginning, but I guess over the time with the rhythm of review cadence and the buy-in from the top management, was taken over. I mean, we kind of brought light to the fact that all these matters also. Whatever matters to patients should matter to us.
Right. Thanks. How about you, Ms. Sangam?
So I see the challenges in two aspects. One is with the attitude or the approach, right, which is obviously built over years through the situations and through the environment that they have been surviving there, right? So at the end of the day, they always have this. I mean, they are trying to overcome, but yeah, this approach of, okay, whatever we do, finally, what happens with the doctor, what happens with the nurse? There are certain other forces because of which whatever we do, it's not going to work out, right? And we end up only handling the crisis, we end up only handling the situation. So that attitude, which is built in over years, is something that needs to be curbed down slowly, empowering them and all. So that's one clear challenge, that they come out of that attitude and that approach. Mm-hmm. The second one is obviously now as the department is gaining a lot of importance, there are real focus in terms of providing the right resources, the right amount of resources, the right tools for them. However, we are still in the nascent phase there. This comes still at the lower stage of the ladder when the budgets are getting approved and things like that, right? So giving that ample resource, thinking that human touch and that department, those people are really important, rather than quantifying the time motion return to that, is another thing that needs to be looked at for this department.
Interesting, interesting. Gone are the days, I think, where people used to take patients for granted, that if these doctors are there, patients would definitely come. But now it's changing. It's changing now.
Yes.
Interesting, interesting. Moving on, I'll go to Ms. Gupta first. Over the years, Ms. Gupta, the transformation of this patient experience department has been quite significant. More so, I think, after COVID, it has become much more faster. Can you explain what you have seen as the evolution of this department and the transformation which it is going through currently?
I would say this transformation has started way back. As she rightly said, the budgeting, and when the budgeting would happen, a lot of budget would go into patient acquisition. Yeah. But very little focus and very little review would happen for patient retention. So I see myself, our patient experience is more to do with patient retention strategies and whatever we do. When the COVID came, yes, the significant change happened in terms of digital adoption. I mean, everything had to be contactless and all that. So that the teleconsultation bit, all that thing which was restricted, limited, had opened up the gates and for digital adoption. But yeah, I mean, the initiatives change, but transformation journey had started before that. The initiatives became more digital, be it, so the certain initiative that we took up was, of course, video consultation across the hospitals. The chatbot would also answer a lot of questions before you come to book an appointment, vis-a-vis calling up the patients, and the registration online and so on and so forth. A lot of things.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's speech to text and voice text and whatever you call it.
Yeah. Technology is getting in and driving the transformation.
That became everyone's priority and not pushed a little later.
In a way, they were looked as a little aspirational when we spoke about it, but COVID helped them to bring into the limelight and said that, yeah, these are essentials.
Yeah. Ms. Sangam, how do you see the decision-making process for new initiatives, which is driven by patient experience department? Or what kind of a process is followed in hospitals before taking up initiatives in this area?
Yeah, so now with a lot of clarity in as to what can be an expected experience and how are the consumers changing, what the consumers are expecting, and the availability of technology, availability of resources, knowledge, and all. So the decision making process to start any initiative is very well clearly defined. I don't see a real difficulty or making it very tough to convince people, convince management, convince the stakeholders in explaining that there is a need of such an initiative, right? Organizations, especially the one that I work for, Motherhood, they are really very open in terms of understanding that yes, this can make an impact and open to experiment. So that is an ease that definitely is there, understanding of the need of these initiatives. But yes, it definitely demands a very clear thought process, a very clear implementation strategy, a clear benefits or the returns out of it. I mean, the results. So that vision and that clarity is expected. While it might take longer time, it might not be quantifiable, but there has to be a clarity in terms of what are we trying to bring out over here, right? Since there are tools that can be used to a certain level as measurements. So I think this decision making in terms of any new initiatives is not that difficult now, is what I feel.
What's your take on this, Ms. Gupta?
Yeah, I completely agree to it. I think every company wants to be relevant. So as per the changing customer requirements, if another hospital has it, we better have it. Second is also we now have a very robust customer feedback system. One is able to call out for the top 10 requirements or top 3 requirements that the patient is always talking about, and then we can divide. We can call out what is the initiative required to address those. And every initiative, as you rightly said, is passed through before you launch it. We pass through the lenses of people, process, technology, and I add a fourth element to it: look, touch, feel, and smell. So aesthetic look also. I mean, how does it for the patient when they come in? Does it delight the senses? That fourth angle is also looked into, and then the initiatives launched. So it's not just technology thing bit. The entire people training is required, process re-engineering is required. Everything is looked into to complete the initiative and mapped to the end user. We might not just as a checklist is implemented. Is the end user getting the desired result, and is it user friendly for the caregivers at this end to adopt the technology, if at all?
Interesting. On the same lines, Ms. Gupta, how do you kind of measure the non-tangible benefits which come out of these patient experience initiatives? How do you tell or convince people with the non-tangible benefits? Because it's always difficult to measure measure everything.
Very difficult. I mean, one can't attribute everything to the NPS or a PSAT score.
Yeah.
And in today's time, we are not able to really measure the repeat customers, who are coming post this initiative, because there are so many things to it. Or the customers lost. We were never measuring customers lost because of that. Vis-a-vis customers gained today. So non-tangible is how do I say? If we had a centralized call center appointment helpline, measurable would be what is the increase in the appointment number vis-a-vis walk-ins. What is the PSA talking about? But non-measurable would be when you do audits. I mean, the non-tangible, when you do audit, how well it was taken, what kind of warmth was it, and did they resolve the queries properly? Those things are measured internally. And the Google rating, the compliments, those are things.
Social media, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Moving on, Ms. Sangam, what kind of change management challenges do you face while launching new initiatives in the patient experience department?
There are not challenges as such, but yes, because of late the department itself, I mean, even the staff, a guest relation executive or a manager have understood that this swiftness, this newness is something that's going to be continuous, and hence they're already in a mindset, in a frame that yes, there will be something new that will happen regularly, and it might not be only related to my specific area of work. It can be a finance-led thing like a cashless payment, like it can be a technology-driven, like implementation of EMR, right, electronic medical records, which is more relevant to the doctors, but I will be a catalyst in terms of getting it implemented, ensuring that it is smoothly done. If the doctors are facing concern, that then it affects my customers. So they have understood that entire game of these new initiatives that will keep on happening frequently. But yes, there is a little difficulty in change management with people who completely own up P&L, right? So they're getting their attention to this into a detailed level, to the T of implementation, to get their feedback, to make them get involved into it, so that they tell us that what more can be done or how it can be done better, which usually happens at a later stage when they come back after some time and then say that, oh, see, we missed sharing this could have been done this way. So that's something that I feel that's one small area which that lack of involvement that happens from initiator to the implementer. In between, there are those 1 or 2 levels who need to be more involved.
What about the employee behavioral change, which you have to get in?
Yeah, Yeah, so as I mentioned that nowadays I think everyone is tuned to this changes. They know that it is inevitable. I have to accept this. Certain times there will be certain will issues, but I think the rigorous amount of trainings that we do, the handholding that we do, the service culture that is getting driven within the organization helps manage that. Yeah.
How about you, Ms. Gupta? What's your take on change management?
I'll have a slightly different view on this. Change management, the first hurdle is the operation head or the unit head who has a P&L to manage. And mostly our initiatives, are going to kind of bombard his costs. So there is a resistance there. And so there has to be a balance. There has to be a lot of, internal marketing, internal convincing has to happen why this initiative has to be rolled out or needs it. Unless he approves of it, his team will also not support. So that's the first challenge. And once that hurdle is removed, the second would be a little minor. Once the unit head agrees to it, the team, of course, there's always, for any new initiative, there's some resistance from the way they have been working. And now we ask them to work, change in the way they do now. There will be some resistance, but if you have an appropriate reward and recognition system and appropriate audit system in place, both hand in hand with hand holding and training, they also see pride when things improve.
Great.
But it's a journey.
Yeah. Is there a fear that technology would take over the jobs? That kind of a challenge?
No, I won't say that. I haven't seen the fear. It's just about, as I said, no, it's not just about technology adoption, but also goes a process retweaking happens. See, they have been doing a certain process a certain way, and they have to kind of change the behavior. There's a behavioral change is expected. Some training is given. So that's very normal and natural for any new initiative whenever it's rolled out. Some resistance is there, and technology, in fact, helps them. What we've seen it. I mean, it really have helped them from what they have been doing thus far. It's just about little change and hand holding and the excitement. And the leaders need to also excite them continuously, not just this department.
Yeah, it helps improve their efficiency, their productivity, and everything. Right. Ms. Sangam, what is the typical time horizon you look at when you have to implement new initiatives in patient experience? Is there a kind of guiding principles there, or?
I mean, definitely every initiative starts with having a mindset, having a clarity on what would be the time horizon. However, the last mile impact that we get to see this on the face of customer or in the words of the customer, that will definitely take time. We are very cautious about it. So the approach is always going step by step in terms of how much time do we take to have that clarity in terms of what the process is. So there is a defined timeline, implementation, the training, right? The first initiative, the first report, or the first activity to happen. So those times are clearly defined based on the initiative. But yes, the final, as I said, the final end customer, that experience and getting a response on that would depend on the type of initiative.
It can be from a few months to maybe a year as well, right?
Yes. However, if there is anything that can go along here, then those hurdles, those in between steps are clearly defined, that this is the timeline for each of this step.
And you keep milestones and measure against them. That's
yes.
Yeah. What has been your experience, Ms. Gupta, about time horizon for the patient experience initiatives?
So I guess, thankfully, in each of these organizations, I've not been, unlike marketing team, we've not been, I don't know about Archana Sangam, but not been badgered by those deadlines to complete the initiative. So I have been able to do the pilot study in one unit. Whenever I roll out an initiative, I do a pilot. In that pilot, I take a lot of time to thrash out all kind of queries and all kind of troubleshooting, whatever has to be done. And then phase-wise rollout. And of course, there's a phase-wise rollout of milestones also. So then it becomes easy. And I've seen typically a pilot takes 2 to 3 months. And then rollout doesn't take so much time across the hospitals. And of course, there's a continuous improvement on a phase-wise manner for the same initiative. For example, if I have to have a call center, as I said, appointment helpline, centralized appointment helpline, pan-India and Manipal, you do a phase-wise, for a certain experience, then you take up outbound calls, then you take up inbound calls, and so on and so forth. So you can keep improving. But
geographically as well, you can phase-wise.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Now, we've gone through this transformation and patient experience, and now coming to the business aspect of this patient experience, what do you think of patient experience as a driver for business, either for top line increase or a bottom line impact? How do you see patient experience impacting these?
So you're asking this question to whom?
Yeah.
So I'll take it up. It
sure.
helps in both. A lot in top line because when I see the patient experience initiatives, it's not just about improving the productivity, improving the process improvement, but it's also working on perception of the patients or building relationship. So when they both go hand in hand, you're removing the glitches every touch point, plus you are connecting them with them also. There is in our team, there's a layer which interacts with them, gives them undivided attention, resolves their queries, resolves their issues, and become the go-to person for the next time, whatever requirement they have. So it impacts both revenues and cost also, both, big time.
What's your take on it, Ms. Sangam?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is no question on that. Starting from the very basics of data captures, right? Customer information capture, which is a huge source, right? In terms of any further things, any further activities, any further initiatives, product designing, anything and everything. So starts from there. So that's just the basics of it. So apart from that, yeah, there is referrals, there is based on the experience. So there are multiple things which the patient experience department or the initiative contributes towards revenues. And yes, as we tune the processes further, include technology aspects and all, as we fine tune the processes and make them further, definitely helps in reducing costs also. That's another definite aspect of any department that should be looked at.
Ms. Sangam, do you have to prove these returns before you take up such initiatives, like calculation of ROI, presenting a business case and things like that, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. At this stage, yeah, maybe in earlier years that was not needed. It was an easy escape, but there is no escape now. Every initiative, be it starting from a training, right? If you have your financial counselors in your patient experience team and you want to invest on training them, right? So that also definitely goes through as to how is their efficiency going to increase, how with addition in change or improvisation in your CRM application, which will help deliver customer experience and how it will result in what sort of returns, right? So every aspect of it goes through proving the ROI. Certain times it's not hardcore, certain times it's not time mandated, but yes, the focus, the end result is expected.
Ms. Gupta, how have you seen these ROI discussions whenever you have put out these initiatives in front of management?
I would say because each time, as I said, this function, it's been top driven. This function was instituted because the top leaders were wanting it. And hence, I really didn't have to, I had to give a very rough ROI. You really cannot, because unless you've seen it on ground. So when I came to CK Birla Hospitals, obviously I had past historical cases of success factors in Manipal and Fortis. But when I joined Manipal, I didn't have any. So a top-driven approach where they were convinced that these are required helped a lot in initiating a lot of things, and there was a lot of freedom given to go ahead with those initiatives. Of course, as I said, rough sketch of ROI, and later on we kept tracking as to what is the ROI, what exactly are we getting out of it, and to sustain the results, there has to be a check and balance, mechanism in place. So, uh, personally feeling, I didn't have to really work on the ROI so much. I mean, little sketch is enough.
Great, great. Ms. Gupta, of late, as you're seeing, patient experience department is getting focus, and more hospitals are getting into this. Do you think, or what are your views on using patient experience as a differentiating factor?
Of course, that is the only reason why we exist, I guess. It's a differentiating factor. So I think that the journey first starts with cleaning up the gaps in our processes at various touch points. Come to a standard level. That also takes a long time, especially in non-clinical area. I mean, people were not really looking at, as I said, food and beverage, or were not looking at housekeeping or parking and all that. So now they are getting sensitized. Second step would be check the competition in your landscape. What are they offering, and how are you different from them? So the journey goes on. That's the main goal.
Do you use it in your marketing campaigns as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Ms. Sangam?
Yeah. I think that's the toughest question that you have asked, which keeps on coming back to us, right? One, yes, as Ms. Gupta said, correcting the processes, setting up a standard there itself takes time. And then when we start sustaining it is when we also see that there is the competition is almost similar. And in our industry, it's so neck to neck with respect to the service experience, right? The service deliverables, and also every time we to come back with something different, right? And not just keep on talking that, yes, we give the best service, we give you personalized, we call you by your name. That doesn't really go long, right? So that's a difficult task there, to have a service experience as a differentiator. But yes, the strive is always there, and we keep on working on that, keep on adding features, while features are more relevant to products, but the way we handle the customers, the entire interaction, the experience. So,
right. Now, towards the we are towards the end of this webinar, and the final question would be about learnings from other industry and how that is getting into your patient experience departments. Let's start with Ms. Gupta first.
Well, I was hired because I was mother industry.
Yeah.
I was with Taj, and Taj is known for its customer centricity and the way things work in Taj. I think they hired me because to bring in some of the rigors which was there to drive the customer centricity. And I shamelessly copy from other industries. It can be, it need not stop at Taj. It can be banking industry. It can be in the retail industry, whatever they are doing. And basically, I start having dialogue with the senior management as to what the customer expectations is. If simple thing, if they give a phone call to us versus a bank, I mean, they don't compare us with another healthcare. They compare us with banks or other industry, which are the best call center service. So we have to, we can't keep comparing ourselves with another healthcare and be happy. We have to move our bar and be the best in service industry. So airlines or whatever. So, I mean, things like we are talking about things like now, ATM facilities available 24/7. Why not doctor services? And that's how it's shaping up. In big hospitals, the evening or a Sunday outpatient consultations thing has started, but we are still not 24/7 in hospitals. But the concept is shaping up,
right?
Which is taken from other industries.
Yeah, the airline industry, for instance, they've got these check-in kiosks at the airport. Why can't we have kiosks at hospitals, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, now for admissions, I was listening to Saurav Lal the other day. In math, we started taking a web checking kind of admission phenomenon that we are also looking at how to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
How about you, Ms. Sangam?
Yeah, I completely resonate with Ms. Gupta. And in fact, the same way as she started, I was also hired from a different industry, from retail, with the thought of changing customer expectations to be more retail behavior, the window shopping, the options of looking, the options that they have to look out for decisioning, right? So from that perspective, when I joined, the mandate was very clear, right? Automate, centralize as much as so that at the hospital the experience is only direct between the two people standing there, and they don't get into any back-end sort of work of handling calls or making reports or all those things. So implementation of CRM. So these which can give an e-commerce level of experience, even when the customer just interacts with us to seek information, to seek clarity and things like that, right? So these are a lot of lessons that we have learned and implemented here from retail aspect, definitely, right? Hospitality, hotels are learning from them is never ending. They are at their best, and we keep again copying them and taking lessons from them there very clearly, right?
Yeah.
And one of the recent one is the IP concierge services, right? So that's something that we have just started it. I'm sure maybe we are late, but yeah, that's something that we were aspiring always, and we immediately took it up as we saw the option there.
Yeah. Great. One final take, Ms. Gupta, on future of patient experience. So what are your thoughts on that? And then Ms. Sangam, you can also give some points on the future of patient experience department per se. Start with you, Ms. Gupta.
So future is patient experience is all about looking at customer requirement, current and future. Because changing requirement, what would it be? If this department cannot predict what are these requirements and align the organization towards it, they can help in identifying the differentiating factor, then I'm sorry, this patient experience is not doing the justice to the department.
Your take, Ms. Sangam?
I think they are going to be, after being the face, now they are going to be the eyes of the organization, giving a lot of visibility as to how the patients are going to do, what they are going to do. Are they really going to come back or not, right? So that predictability, that pipeline is also something that's coming to the patient experience department. They're getting empowered. They are going towards revenue contributors. Also now there are no more any cost center or the back support system, right? So nurtured well, empowered well, I think the biggest asset for the organization, for healthcare.
Great. Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you. Thanks. It was wonderful talking to you during this webinar series. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nice interaction.
Thank you.